Okie dokie. So tonight I'm going to be talking about graphene. Who here has heard about graphene? Show of hands. Just a few. Excellent. Okay. Start it up. So this is my disclaimer. I'm not a chemist or a physicist, and I kind of got roped into this talk. But there's a reason, because this material is going to fundamentally change our lives, whether we know about it or not. So what is graphene? Graphene is a two-dimensional material. It's stronger than diamond due to its bonding structure. Flexible, it's a good conductor for electricity and thermal, and it's only an atom thick. When I first said graphene, who thought of graphite? A few, perhaps. And you're probably familiar with graphite because it's in our hockey sticks and our pencil leads and all sorts of wonderful products. We've been using it for years. And if you were to look at graphite, it's actually just a bunch of honeycomb configurations of carbon layered together with weak bonds. And as I mentioned, it's used in pencils, brakes, batteries, and yes, the Canadian hockey stick. Although I think they've replaced it with something a little bit stronger. Graphene is just a single layer of that honeycomb. So if we were to extract it off graphite, you get graphene, which is flexible, transparent, and conducts electricity and thermal and all sorts of those wonderful properties that I mentioned earlier. So it was first discovered in 2004. It won a Nobel Prize from its discoverers in 2010. It's in already hundreds of patents from companies. And it is, as I mentioned, going to change everything for us in the future. So the discovery was a mistake, actually. The scientists were actually studying graphite, and they'd use pieces of Scotch tape to clean up the surface, and then they'd throw it in the trash bin. It wasn't until they took one of those pieces of Scotch tape and put it underneath the microscope that they made a eureka moment. And these are the two handsome devils that won it. Andrei Ghin and Konstantin Novoselov. And they won the Nobel Prize in physics. So the takeaway today, if anything, is to win a Nobel Prize, Scotch tape. That's all it takes. So what's the hype? So this is a very accurate statistical of flying cars versus graphene. And you notice the hype is in graphene and not so much with flying cars. So why are people excited about it? Why are we talking about it so much on the interweb? And this is an example here. This is Samsung's next generation of cell phones. High digital, very thin, flexible screens. We're also going to be making faster processors, computer technology of all sorts, just with this material. Here's another example. In aircrafts, because we can combine graphene with different composites, we can make things lighter. So half the fuel, half the energy. It's going to be in your cars. It's going to be in all sorts of modes of transportation. As well, quite exciting is that they theorize already that we can desalinate salt water, meaning we can make it drinkable. So 98% of the water that we can't drink is now available to the rest of the world. Big, big deal. And more applications every day. The academia just keep theorizing. What can we use this stuff for? And it's getting, as I said, lots of people excited. Lots of entrepreneurs. And, Chad, space elevators. Scientists have already figured that it'll probably be graphene and carbon nanotubes that'll be the key to actually making a space elevator to get equipment up into space faster rather than rockets, as Julian had mentioned earlier. So there's only one problem. It's expensive. It's about 150 US dollars for about a 1 inch by 1 inch what have you. This is an empty case. It was out of my budget for a piece of graphite. But we have to remember that aluminum was also a precious resource once upon a time. In fact, in the 19th century, Napoleon III would only serve his top guests aluminum cutlery. Gold and silver was for the lesser guests. And now, if you think about aluminum, it's everywhere. 50 cents to the pound if you go to the scrapyard. So just because it's difficult to get graphene now doesn't mean that it's going to be difficult in the future. In fact, there's already tons of startups in the US and worldwide. This one company, it's already predicting a timeline of the cost of graphene in the future. Currently, it's 10 times more expensive than silicone, so we're not quite there as far as making the super duper computer chips yet. But Stay tuned. It's going to change things. So in conclusion, I just want to say happy belated Back to the Future Day. There was a video not too long ago that showed all the crazy things mentioned in Back to the Future 2 actually came true. And they're predicting most of the things about graphene are also going to come true as well. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much, everybody.